Hey, welcome to Echoes of Ikigai. I'm your host, Elijah, where we break down the insights of creatives and try to bring value to the industry. I'm here today with Maya J. Prince, the talented, the beautiful, versatile. I mean, what else? What else
Thank
can I
you.
say?
Thank you. Yeah, singer, songwriter,
It's
a future
amazing.
lawyer.
Yeah. I wanted to start off by really saying how grateful I am for you coming on here. You really inspired me from since the beginning of our relationship to kind of be a little bit more creative. And when I was like strictly on the business administration side of the industry,
Yes.
and I think it might have been our second or third meeting where you were like, "Man, you really got to start a podcast or something." And it was already in the back of my head through a couple other people, and I don't know. It truly inspired me. So I really want to thank you, and I'm really happy that you're still here supporting a year and a half later.
Yeah,
You know.
of course. I feel like our journey is just so incredible. I feel like you have experienced me in so many different versions of myself over the years. And I think it's just really cool that when you're able to like maintain those sort of relationships, especially like within this industry, right?
Mm.
Because it's just ever changing and people switch up and do all these different
Right.
things.
Yeah.
So I think it's super awesome
It's
that
rare to meet another genuine person with the
yeah,
same ambitions.
exactly. And that same like I like to say like the moral and ethics of it all. Like I feel like
Yeah.
we're really aligned in that. So
Yeah. Just be careful before you get into a philosophical conversation.
look, I've heard about you.
Yeah. Moral and ethics, man. It's tough. I just finished still taking metaphysics, where like the beginning of the course was specifically on determinism and moral responsibility. So like
Mhm.
whether or not we're morally responsible in a deterministic society.
What actually got you into
Into philosophy.
yeah, like what inspired you? The one time I remember not many colleges, at least I don't know, Prairie View. I only say that because there was one time I was working for like this label in New York,
Mhm.
and I used to come home like every weekend. I was like 19 or something. And all my friends went to PV, so I would drive out there and like sneak on campus. And like one time I ended up being in their like homecoming, and I won like best dress. I wasn't even a student there. And then like I ended up literally they gave me like an interview and they're like, "What's your major?" And at the time I was so heavy into metaphysics and just kind of like, Plato's theory, just like all these different just some really thinking of myself on a higher
Mm.
spiritual perspective, right? And I remember I was like, "My major philosophy." Yeah. And they were like, everyone was like, after they're like, "We don't even have that major here."
Oh my god.
It's so funny. So even every time I hear you say that, I'm think of
That
me
moment in
like
your life. Yeah.
finessing that moment. Yeah, it was great. But continue, I'm listening.
What got me, oh man, it had to be, I was in such a weird moment in my life. I feel like I was raised non-denominational, religious, probably mainly Christian, with those views, and not like heavily like church every week,
Mhm.
but it was very much pressed on me,
As it
and
be.
very much the level of guilt involved as well, where
Mhm.
I knew in my heart that wasn't right. I knew that we shouldn't feel guilty for anything. Unless we truly did something bad, but I don't personally feel that we owe anybody or should feel guilty for being alive.
Mm. It's amazing that you say that because I grew up in the same sort of upbringing. And I think that I started to also, because I was like a young artist as well. Like I've literally been professionally performing since I was 7. So I grew up not only with that like religious guilt, but I also grew up with this like false sense, I feel like, of perfection and validation that was needed. I had to like I remember like getting just like primed and fixed up at like 10 years old, like getting full makeovers for like
Man.
auditions and things like that. And I feel like as I got older, I started to realize like, wow, I'm really living in the existence of validation
Mhm.
and of this like perfectionism that's like doesn't actually even exist. Like none of these things are real. Like
Perfectibility.
none of it. Yeah, it's like and just last year actually I had came in and that I mean, I'm well over, like a teenager at this point. I'm not gonna say how old I am, but but even last year, I remember coming not even further into that mindset of, okay, the guilt, the perfectionism, those things are just merely what fear itself, right? Those things are just
Mhm.
thoughts. Um, but I also started to understand the imperfection in me doesn't make me any less like priceless. Like I am infinitely priceless. Even if I wasn't a singer, even if I wasn't who I was, like my name, without any of those things, like I always like to say, even if I was just like a mere gust in the wind,
Mm.
I still am infinitely priceless. And it's about thinking about yourself, and I think in a level of not the main character, like abolishing that main character syndrome and understanding I'm a part of something so much bigger, so much greater. Like, and I'm talking about like environmental, like
Yeah,
and
yeah.
societal, and in all of those aspects. And when you start realizing your part in that, I feel like I felt way more internally validated and less about needing the world to put that on me and the guilt and all those things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Same here. I think what really made me make the decision to go further into philosophy, Dr. Hamadi at
Mm,
what was HBU, is now ACU,
mhm.
HCU. I took my intro to philosophy course, and I'm already, being a private university, Baptist university, I was already, I felt like I was so weird where like throughout high school, like I was never really like I didn't really believe quote unquote in God, like not in the way where like I was against it, but in a way where like I don't feel what
Yeah.
everybody else is feeling. Like what's like I thought there was something wrong with me.
Mhm.
And then I go into college and I'm like, let me really try. Let me be religious. Let me go because you have to go to church there. Like Wednesdays are communation or I forgot the specific word for it, but you have to go. Like you have to have a certain amount of like church credits in order to graduate. It's insane. It's kind of
What?
insane. Yeah, along with taking theology, intro to Bible. So like my first semester there, I'm like in intro to Bible. I knew I was gonna transfer because because some other issues, but they were trying to get me to take theology and intro to Bible, and I'm like, I'm not even sure if I'm gonna be here. Like this is not gonna even follow me.
Y'all,
Yeah.
I really don't know if I'm gonna stay here that
Yeah,
long.
but I
Yeah.
tried to like be interested. I'm like, like let me put that effort in because then I'll know,
Right.
you know? And I started, I mean, really like intro to Bible, breaking down the Bible, and I'm reading it with this sort of detective perspective of like, which was honestly probably the wrong one, but I saw a lot of contradictions in there, and not in hopes where like, oh, this is wrong and this is why it's wrong, but in
Mhm.
like, hey, what's going on here? Like there's a moment within Exodus where after Moses is up there for 40 days and nights on Mount Sinai, and the people Jewish people that he freed and he freed from slavery out of Egypt didn't know what to do. They thought Moses was dead, so they form a golden calf. They made it, but they don't say they made it because you can't make a god or whatever.
Right.
So they formed a golden calf to worship while he was gone, and God was like, look at these people, like, and he wanted to kill them all. And Moses reasoned with him, was like, no, 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 don't kill them all. Like these are your people. And he's like, okay, well they all have to kill like their firstborn or like their brother or something.
Mhm.
And it's like I asked my professor and I was like, who was right and who was wrong? Like
Right.
he wanted to kill them. Like I understand their stories, but like these are the things that these are the reasons why people have questions,
Yeah.
and it's like if you can't address them, then you can't just like expect people to assume like all that to be fact
Yeah.
after that. And like that's what really started for me, where he was like kind of super condescending, and I'm like, bro, like and then I have, also that was the intro to Bible class. But go back to philosophy, on my intro to philosophy class, Dr. Hamani, I mean, I was always looking for like a purpose. Why are we here? Like, why is nobody thinking about the bigger things?
What
Like,
is this?
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. Like we're this floating ball flying through
Yes.
space on this in this solar system that
Right.
is essentially like a spaceship. Like if you like, I've seen like the math of it, and we're moving as like a spaceship as a solar system within this galaxy. It's insane, but yeah. And then I go to this philosophy class. I had zero interest in philosophy. I just thought it'd be cool, easy A, I mean, and it's a requirement, but yeah, he just opened my mind. Like it started off kind of like people don't like the first classes where he's like, oh, define a sandwich that with a definition that only pertains to sandwiches, right? Like
It's
it's tough.
like,
Like, and you can do
bro,
that with
yeah,
anything with
yeah.
like a chair and like it, at first it was kind of like, oh, this is stupid, but then it's like, it's like a deeper understanding to like really know what he means by that of like all these things are made up. Like your entire life experience could be false.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, you don't know if like you can't prove that you're not an octopus hallucinating an entire life right now. It's like
Right.
you have no
No
proof. We don't
proof.
know
Yeah.
proof. We're not in a matrix. And it just really opened my eyes because I'm like, this is how I've always felt. Like why do we just assume all these things to be fact?
Hmm.
You know? And I'm not saying assume everything to be untrue until it can be directly proven otherwise, but at least have an open mind to like an opposing view. And I feel like philosophy is that in its essence is
Yeah.
the question of authority, you know, especially, you know, with the enlightenment period that I'm reading on right now. It's like all of that, like questioning of authority in all types of different positions, whether it be government or, you know, church and or both in that case, you know.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And yeah, no, that it just it opened my eyes to where I'm not that religious now, but I am very spiritual.
Right.
I try to meditate once a week.
Right.
Yeah, I
No,
don't want to
no,
say
it's
once a
easier said
day.
than done.
Yeah.
Easier said than done. A little bit easier. No judgment. No
but
judgment.
but it's something that every time I go there, every time I'm learning something new about philosophy, whether it's something I agree with or something I'm so heavily against, I feel a level of enlightenment
Absolutely.
and
No.
what I believe to be enlightenment at
Yeah,
least.
1000%. I feel like my journey through spirituality and religion definitely I feel like we have a lot of like similarities. Like
Mm.
I remember just completely abolishing religion. I have a dear friend of mine and I feel like we'll never be as close because I remember I was 18 and I went to Outback Steakhouse at this birthday and I sat there and they had said something about thanking God and I was like, "Why? He's not real." And these are young black women in America,
Yeah.
that are like,
Yeah.
girl, what? And I'm like, and I've always kind of thrived in sometimes unintentionally, but accepting and embracing it wholly, which is so funny to me. Of
Like
just kind of being like the rebel
the
in the group.
contrarian
Yeah,
thing of
the
it.
one
Yeah.
that pisses off everyone because I've got that question. Like, Maya, why are you even going there with it? Like, listen, and I'm like, no, because I am very inquisitive about understanding my reality. I'm so big on that. Sometimes where I've started to develop in time in my life, like overthinking, right? Like overthinking situations. What is this, whatever. So, but I remember like that was really like I was in that space. And I'll never forget like just kind of being lost in that space of just like the freedom of chaos. And then as I've gotten older now, I went into understanding like spirituality, introducing myself into metaphysics, into mindfulness, into wellness, those things. And that was like, going into like the very beginning of my 20s. And then now, actually, circling back, and I felt like you. Like, I used to watch my grandmother and my mother break out in tongues, like, like all of
That was
the
the most frustrating thing for
dude,
me.
and I would be sitting there and I
I'm
would
like, am I
be
supposed to?
so I would be like and sometimes I would feel like what's wrong with me that I don't
Yeah.
feel that.
Yeah.
Why can't I get there? And just kind of feeling like that black sheep to God.
Yeah.
However, like am I his favorite? Like I
Yeah.
don't know. And so it's crazy though. It's like as I've even gone through my space and where I feel like I stand in spirituality, because I feel like there are radicals in everything, right?
Mhm.
And I feel like I've just like reached my mark and pinnacle in that and just how it's expressed. I'm forever a student. I'm forever learning, but I just feel like the way that I project it. I remember when I first started going into my spirituality, I was like walking around everybody like low vibration. I vibrate on the frequency of like I was just like, have you ever smelt sage? Like
Yeah.
like I was just so like, look at this stone. Oh, you like, it was just such a thing. And I feel like it still probably could be that way, but social media just over fucking kills every good
Yeah.
thing, man. But I feel like I had reached that space where it was almost cringy to like see people, I don't know,
Just carrying
especially
around
like
crystals.
for me and like my like this like African like spiritual diaspora that's there with everyone's walking around with copper jewelry and unks is holding them down and they're like freedom. It's like
Yeah.
all that shit. It's like I was there and I was like just kind of being like, I don't know, like I want more as well.
Mhm.
And I remember I just started praying. I did start praying. I started talking to God. Um and
What
I
was that like?
think for the first time it actually felt meaningful and real. And I'll say the reason why was because I started to even understand like the imperfection and like that in Christianity, but like matching and having it at least make sense enough for me to
Mhm.
digest it because I understood so much about spirituality. And I intertwine both. Like I'll meditate, I'll pray,
Yeah.
I'll do holy oil and sage. I'll be like, get all that shit on me, please. Good luck, please. Like cover me up, God. Everybody, I'm chanting, I'm doing affirmations, and I feel like when I did that, sometimes I always get looks from both sides, and they're like, okay, yeah, I guess. But I'm like, for me, like it works for me. I felt this connection to God and I felt this like now it's like I feel this connection to God. I also feel this empowerment and understanding that okay, it's not just me having to ask God because I myself am a form of God and I am
Mm.
my like it is me that is doing this. It is me putting that effort in. And if I maybe call out for some help, shit, I'm calling to my granny, I'm calling to my auntie, like that all passed away, my ancestors. I'm making altars, like with the Bible next to it. Like I feel like so full of a space where I just want the betterment of myself.
Mhm.
And however that makes sense to me and how I digest it, in religion, in spirituality, like that, just finding like that core balance. And a lot of people don't think it can exist. Like I've been to church when I was talking to one of my friends recently and she said she was like, "Yo, I went to church and you know, we had found ourselves in the same place." And she was like, "I went to church and this lady was talking about how her friend got something and she was like, "Yeah, it's this, like I've been holding this stone, girl, and I've been getting everything I want." And she was like, and I looked at her and said, "It is God that got you this." And I was just like, bro, but can it be both? Like, can I? Like,
Right.
can it also just like also be like myself? And these are maybe tools. Like,
Yeah, of
I think
course.
of religion now. I think of spirituality as tools to really help perfect this divine being that I am.
Mhm. That's probably
Yeah, that's how I feel about
that's
that.
one of the best perspectives I've heard. I whenever I describe religion to somebody in a like philosophical perspective, I'm like, it essentially to me, I believe it is good in its core,
Mm-hmm.
like everything else.
Yes.
And it can get corrupted by human
Right.
beings who may or may not know that they're corrupting, just by human nature. And
Subconscious. Yeah.
yeah, or just ignorance. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like they
Yes.
just don't
Both
know.
and both. Yes. 1,000. You're so
And
right.
it's so tough that like I don't know whenever I was like really against it, I would have those conversations of like I would tell my mom like, "You ever played telephone when you were little? Like, you know how you go around the room and it's like never the same thing." I was like, "Imagine that, but 2,000, 3,000 years of just papers and hardly any of it is actually written by Jesus or said by God.
Mm-hmm.
It's all other human beings. So that's already a game of telephone with its own. And then you're
Exactly.
playing 2 or 3,000 years of telephone and you're hoping. And then like this time I'm like, Mom, you're reading a King James version of the Bible. That's a king that
King.
just decide whether he had good intentions or not. He just decided he was going to rewrite the Bible.
Literally.
That wasn't that long ago. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like you think about it from that perspective, like,
Yeah.
oh
And
man,
that's
it's
why,
insane.
exactly. No, I agree with you. And that's why I feel like for me, like, I think that people interpret the Bible and spirituality in
Hmm.
there's so many thousand ways of interpretation for these things. And I think that, yeah, like some people see it as like their set. thing in life. And for me, it's a tool. It's a tool, like I said, just like perfecting myself, allowing myself to even bring me to certain conclusions that I ask. Like, I remember like going through, depression and anxiety and like overthinking as a part of something, PTSD, like so many. I've gone through these emotions, and these tools
Mhm.
have truly helped me like enlighten myself
Yeah,
of like what
absolutely.
is important, like what's my source. That's how even the music for me,
Mm.
like I grew up like I said as an artist, and then to see myself go into a space of I'm forever an artist, forever. I will forever create for the rest of my life. But to see myself go into different avenues, right, that I never even saw myself going through, I know my music is my source, right? My music is almost like me in this transcending like space of just receiving downloads. Like that's how I feel about music. Like I am just a vessel giving you this fire flame. Like I'm just like that's how I, have that's how I've like always kind of viewed those two medians like coming together and helping me. And yeah, that's like inspired like my journey definitely with like the music and like what keeps me going and experimenting. And that's why I feel like sometimes I'm the worst like professional artist, because I will like have some song and I'll be like, "Ugh, I'm on a completely different sound
No,
now.
I I
I'm
I
ready
would
for something new."
I would argue that makes you better.
Yes, and I've
Yeah.
learned to appreciate that, and I'm because I'm starting to see it in a spiritual sense. I'm starting to see it beyond this,
Mhm.
like,
You're making music for you,
yeah, man,
right?
I'm just
Yeah.
making music for me at
That's
this
the way to do
time.
it,
And
man.
I think because I am a part of this amazing race of being, whatever the fuck we are made up of, but all that we are, right? It's like it feels so good to know. Like the other week I saw like I had like some super listeners, and I was like, oh my God, like there are people that feel me.
Yeah.
That's how I was like, and I thought that was just so cool. I'm like, wow, like this is so beyond the surface level of what, a musician is. So yeah, I love that I can make that connection.
Yeah, no.
I'm sure you have the same with like music and philosophy,
Yeah,
spirituality.
yeah. I've actually, experimented in the studio plenty of times, just always, being in it these past like 5 or 10 years. Blow the smoke like towards that way.
This way?
Yeah, yeah, that way it doesn't get like
Yeah,
anything.
yeah. Oh,
Oh, no.
sorry.
No, no, you're good. Um yeah, and it's truly it's scary. It's so fucking scary for me. Just being that vulnerable, I think. And but it's also so powerful and enlightening that I'm like I could do that if I wanted to. I'm not saying I could be like super fucking famous or, even be successful, but like I could do that as an avenue to just, like you said, as a tool to kind of just better myself of like, maybe this is just a way for me to release some of the emotions I've have inside and or to talk about things that I can't talk about to anybody,
Absolutely.
and just give parts of myself to this thing. And that's kind of the way I looked at it, and I try to transition that perspective into this podcast to where like this is essentially a part of me that I'm giving out,
Hmm.
and I have to be mindful, very mindful of the things I say, the things I do, but also be true to myself at the same time and not feeding this image that I think that other people would want, the impartial spectator.
Hmm.
Adam Smith, man. I was talking a little bit briefly about him earlier, but he just breaks down in his theory of moral sentiments the idea of the impartial spectator that is within all of us, that is like we feel like when we see something like happen, like if I like you slipped and fell, like I would react in a way that I would feel that I would like if you were really hurt, I would feel that because that's how I would feel if I was really hurt,
Hmm.
or even like if you weren't and like I kind of laughed, like if you were laughing, like it would be kind of okay because in that situation, if I was laughing, then it would be okay for
Yeah.
other people to laugh. But if you weren't, I would be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't laugh, or like I'm feeling maybe you'd be nervous about that. So I'm like we're always like feeling like these things, and it's
Mm.
this impartial spectator that has like zero skin in the game that's just kind of like determining what's moral. and what's
morally like
morally right or wrong
step.
within within each situation. It's
That is so cool. I've always wondered what that was in me. You like it's I bet that class is like, that's what that is. It's like,
every day,
yeah,
every day, and my
that's how I
professor.
feel just like hearing that. I'm like, I can't tell you enough how many times, and that was like a plague that I grew
Mhm.
up with, not being able to manage those things. I think that's the beauty of philosophy is that you're able
Exactly.
to identify self. And there's nothing better, I feel at least, nothing more peaceful than like knowing what's happening inside of me.
Yeah.
'Cause I think a lot of it is, like you said, ignorance and just people being like content in
Okay. Goddamn. Yeah, no, I hear you. Lost the train of thought a little bit.
No,
But
it's okay. But yeah, just I was just saying like how people, I lost my train of thought as well.
talking about the impartial spectator,
Yes.
but it's so beautiful about like what you were saying. It's like these things inside of us that we all feel, but nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody
Uh-uh.
wants to identify these things. Nobody wants to really even figure anything out. It's
Yeah.
like I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. Like we're stuck in this routine. Like even if you're doing different shit every day, it's like, but you're still doing the same shit. It's just different. You're
In a
doing it
in a
differently.
different way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Man,
there's no real purpose to anything,
right.
unless you think
That's
about it.
yes, that's how I feel. I feel when you're able to manage, it's called the impart what is it?
Impartial
The
spectator.
impartial spectator. When you're able to manage the impartial spectator, I feel those are people that do things, I feel, not in the ordinary. Like
Mhm.
have the ability to control like how that is expressed. Like I feel
Absolutely.
like me like deciding it's early, but I feel sometimes it's kind of late. Just like going into like this area of like law for me,
Mhm.
right? And like seeing as I'm in it, I'm like, holy shit, I did not know this was a superpower of mine that I was be this good at this. And like going into that, and I feel like there was a lot before I said that to like my family and friends. I was like, think long and hard about this, okay? They know you. Okay, these people know who you are. They're gonna be I just was like, how will I react? Like how will they I was just so like caught in like
Consumed in the within the
yeah, and I
image.
feel like I remember like playing with the idea and like trying to see like how like they would react, and I would kind of base myself off of like I would react however they would react about it. I remember like really like just kind of I don't know like going into that, and I don't know, it was interesting to see how supportive they were, and I feel like it
That's
gave
awesome.
me even in my
Gave you
doubt.
more power.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like even in my doubt,
Takes a
it
village,
was beautiful to even adapt to their response because I was nervous as fuck. I was like, I
I
don't
can't
know like
imagine. Yeah,
how I'm
that
gonna do
next
this.
step. I'm nervous. I'm like, cause this is my first semester back in like 4 or 5 years at a university. Cause I just finished
Same.
my associates like a year or two ago. Man, but being back at a real university, it's like, I mean, I don't think I recognize the difference in intelligence amongst some students in there, like being younger, but now I'm like, holy shit, some of these people are fucking smart. Like, and I
Yes.
never once had that feeling in college. I've always done fairly well if I wanted to, or unless like I failed calculus. That was fucking hard.
I didn't
But
even think I made it to calculus. It's okay.
but like I never felt like I was I always felt like I would do above average in most of my classes. And I don't know, like in these classes, like they read these complicated novels and they're like they get it immediately. They're like, oh yeah, and they have like contrasting opinions and like like all these different things. And I'm like, bro, I don't even like. I just read 60 pages and I couldn't tell you what the fuck I
Dude,
just read.
that's how I feel about law. Like I'm telling you the things I told my professor had asked us. She said, um, how are you guys feeling? Like, how are you guys feeling about understanding about
Those are the
legislative and
scariest
judicial
questions too.
branches? Like, how do you feel? Yeah, they're so open ended.
Yeah,
And I had to write a paper about how I felt. It wasn't just like a 250-word response. No,
yeah, no, I
it's
know.
like a paper. And I remember like us talking about it out loud in class. And she was like, Maya, you wrote, it feels like kindergarten. And I was like, yes, I feel like a kindergartner. It just feels like I'm learning an entirely different like verbiage, analysis, way of training my mind to think, like the way that I'm processing things, the way that I'm like just dissecting basic information that someone's telling me, like characteristics, things like it's just a whole different perspective and way of like having to retrain your mind. But I think it's so worth it. I know you feel it when you get it, right? Like
Yeah.
when you get
Oh my
something,
God.
it's
It's the
like
most amazing. Look,
I'll
y-
be like all day trying to make a reason to be like, so I mean, basically it's tort law because
yeah.
of the like saying the definition just so I
or
can like
even like,
I'm like, I get it.
yeah, or like participating in class. I feel
Oh
like one
man,
of
I
the
talk so
scariest
much.
thing. Oh, I'm so
I talk so
terrified.
much in class.
I'm so terrified of participating in like,
Really?
it's like,
I can't
well,
shut up.
oh my God. I just feel like, I don't know, because some people will like have these amazing opinions or like these amazing insights. In the Enlightenment Stories class, it's a group of 12. So we're at like a long table like this, just the professor's at there. And I sit like kind of right next to the professor. Like I'm like this chair right here and he's right there. And I don't know, but yesterday I actually participated like probably the most I've done all semester because I was like really, and it was about we were going over the supplements to Bougainville's voyage. We were talking about it earlier. I had these questions, like these great questions, and these are like really cool insights that I thought everyone saw, and like I brought them up in class, and then like we ended up diving in like 20 or 30 minutes on something that I brought up, and then after class he was like, "Hey man, like I really appreciate you participating," and I was like, "Man, just what I do."
I know y'all feel that when you get it, you get it.
Man,
Like,
yeah, and it was the
you know what I
first
mean?
time. It was like I understood though. It's not the first time I understood it. It's the first time I felt like I had valuable
Yeah.
things to add,
Just
not only for
right.
myself, but
Mm-hmm.
to the class, to where like
Yes.
I'll email you if I have some like questions I don't feel are worthy for the class. Cause part it's so crazy. So we only have a one paper and two tests, only assignments, and it's 30% participation. Yeah, so you have to like
Oh, you have to
you
talk.
have to talk.
Wow, I like that.
That's why I'm so nervous about it, because I know I'm being graded on what I'm saying.
Mm.
And he'll give us readings and we have to read like questions on the readings. Like, so like we have Tuesdays and Thursdays. He'll assign something Thursday and be like, Sunday night I want 2 questions on it. And like that makes me so nervous because I'm like, sometimes he goes over them in class, sometimes he like doesn't look at them, but
Mhm.
I'm like, man, I don't want to be like, bro, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, this is a
You
dumb
tell
ass
me
question.
what this
Yeah.
about. I'm
but
asking like what
but
is
it's been really cool. It's been a learning journey. It's been a relearning journey where like I have to
Yes.
get back in this mindset to really attack this. And I've been getting so many more books lately because with these courses I've been reading so much, and I don't want to. When I'm outside of class, I can't not be reading.
Yo.
Or after the semester, I have to keep up that. I mean, I'm doing like with this enlightenment, so we have 8 books. So I mean, within a semester, I would have finished almost 8 full books. It's fucking
What?
insane. Yeah, it should be a fucking
That's
honors
like a
course,
yeah, I was like, that shit sounds like some some GT shit.
bro. It's but the thing is,
GT classes.
yeah,
Yeah, man.
I got kicked out of GT. And
Yeah, I definitely did.
me and a friend
1000%.
of mine,
I think it was like
my boy Nick, got me kicked out of GT class, bro.
shout out Nick.
Bro, nah,
Damn you, Nick.
fuck Nick. Nah.
That was like me and my cousin, bro. Every time my uncle and aunt found out we were going to the same school, they'd be like, God.
Yeah.
You,
There's about to be
I
shit
used to,
going down
yeah, they'd
every
be
day.
like, Maya's in your class. Oh, this mother. It's so funny. It's funny too because my son is in school, right? And mom, shout out moms, and he's in 3rd grade with his cousin,
Oh,
and
it's rough.
yeah, those boys. Like
I
we
was
have
terrible.
we have
in elementary school.
faculty parent discussions about, okay, so what are we doing to keep them apart?
Yeah.
Yo, why do we spend almost like an hour one time doing it? And then for this year, and this year he comes home, I'm like, how's Messiah? He's like, great, we're in the same class. It's amazing. We sit right next to each other. I'm like, what was that about, guys?
Oh my
Like,
god.
still waiting on that answer. They're still in the same class.
Yeah. But I do want to go back to what you were saying towards the beginning. You brought up, being involved in the industry since you were like 7.
Yes.
What was that like?
Man,
Do you have
honestly,
like a lot of memories from like the first
oh
experiences?
yeah. I remember like realizing that I could sing.
Mhm.
And it happened at my grandfather is actually one of like the like only black liquor license holders and one of the first as well
Wow.
in the city of Houston. Yeah, he has an amazing bar. It's called the Turning Point. It's in 3rd Ward. It's been there for over like 35 years. And super legendary. And he
Yeah,
used
yeah,
to
I've heard of the
throw
term.
these huge festivals there, like in the entire community. Like everyone's coming out. He would cook. Him and my grandmother would like cook for like the community for free
That's
and have
awesome.
these like, and he's from Louisiana,
Mhm.
so he would throw these huge 72-hour festivals, literally 72-hour Zydeco festivals.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
They get
for
lit.
72 hours straight, so like all 20, like all throughout the night, music Zydeco is just
Yeah.
playing on the like it was incredible. It was like a movie. And I used to start like I used to sing there. Like I used to perform
You
there.
sing Zydeco?
Not even. I would like dance Zydeco, but not
Yeah,
even
yeah,
really.
no.
Like it just kind of looked like I was like I don't know what I was doing. But that's where I had learned how to really perform. I was like on stage and I would just be going in, like going
Just
off.
gaining that
Yeah,
confidence.
gaining that confidence. And then yeah, I remember like performing at all the major theaters. That was kind of like the first era of my, like career in life. And it was different. It was definitely being the only one doing something because I grew up in like Pearland,
Mhm.
like old Pearland though, like white people. Like no one really
Yeah.
looks like me. Like I think the nearest grocery store is maybe like 35 minutes away.
Damn.
Yeah, like I grew up like rural
That's
town.
good. I actually, my freshman year, I moved out of Houston and moved into Liberty, which is about 45 minutes east of Houston, and it's
Really?
fairly the same. It was a crazy, but that's I'm from actually familiar with Zydeco and the whole trail ride culture because where my parents' house is, they like multiple times a year the trail ride comes right in front of their house. They block off the whole road. It's just a bunch of horses and like
Really?
trailers. Like they
Wow.
go like through the whole town.
My
It's pretty
brother,
insane.
yeah, my brother's like he loves the trail rides.
Yeah, yeah. No, they're
Prince
cool.
Prince
I've never
Ranching,
been to
yes.
one.
Like
I've been to
it's
one, but never been in the trail ride.
Mhm.
But it's always like amazing vibes. Like just you can't help but to like get
Such a cool
happy and
man.
just want to dance. Like, oh man,
It's
it's
nothing
crazy.
like it. Yeah, it's so cool to like yeah, like grow up and experience. So I'm like experiencing that type of
Mhm,
thing. I just feel like my childhood was expansive. It was huge. Like I
mhm.
just got to experience so many facets of artistry. I was my dad in like gangster rap with Rap
Yeah,
Alive
yeah.
and like starting that. And then, like my mother's side, like Zydeco, and then growing up I've always gone to like performing arts schools like HSPVA, and
Yeah.
I did like, like performing at all these theaters. So I was also being like classically trained as well.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
I'm just getting all these different facets. And I think that it really brings me to like now um just a space where I feel like infinite in like my creative
Mm.
pool. Like I can just pull from like anything. I gotta let you hear my new song. It's called Speed.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to like you'll have to send us the file and then we'll
Okay.
play it like up out a part during the episode or something.
Yeah, it's just like a few seconds.
Yeah.
But I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll
I
send it
mean,
to
you
you.
can play it right now too if you
Oh
want.
yeah.
I don't want it to like not give it the justice it deserves because it's
Okay.
like it's gonna be from your phone onto the mic.
Right. Like here it is.
Yeah.
It's like
But I definitely would be down to put it in there.
yeah. Okay, I'll send it to you. But this is it. It's called Speed.
Speed.
It was inspired by an amazing girl. And and yeah, it's a super dope. It reminds me of my childhood, if
Mm.
that makes sense. It's all different facets of I feel like what I like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Russian birds up my spine, holding back. Don't waste my time. Hold me fast. Going deep. Feel like I'm right. Didn't wanna speak. Race. Take me to your place. Open up my eyes. Open up your mind. I wanna try all the things that you like. I want you to find all the ways that I like. I like the way I think. I like the way you're space. We can go to space. I think there's no place to hide from the world for night. You and I survive. So yeah, just a little
I love
snippet.
that.
I'll just play the beginning, but yeah.
I love that. Is that what sample? That's a great sample in the beginning
Yeah.
and the
Oh,
end.
that's actually me.
That's you. That's
That's
fucking
me.
fire.
And I recorded it by myself.
No, that's amazing. Because now I guess you don't have to clear shit.
No, it's
That's
yeah.
amazing.
I
Oh my
made that
God.
up.
It
Like
sounds like
I just made up some. It literally reminded me of me as a kid, like just saying something crazy. Like I don't know. Like
but
it's
that
just
shit. That shit is like what's in now, though, especially
yeah.
like on the sample side. God, that was really amazing. I do love that track. It sounds like an evolution of Queen Naba a little bit.
Yo, right?
It like it has the same like vibe with a more upbeat style, and I noticed something else that I couldn't put my finger on after like the kind of chorus era. I can't think of it. I want to say like sort of like a little Kim vibe, but I'm not sure if that's the right if
Okay.
that's the right
I
thing.
mean that. Listen, being compared to anything slightly low Kim,
Yeah,
I'll
no, I
take.
mean
I'll
it really
take
was
it.
amazing. I
Thank you.
just remember I remember our first meeting where you showed me you showed us the video of Dream World.
Oh,
And that was like one of like I love the track, but to me it was like, I know how important the visuals are to it.
mhm.
It's like you can have the best song in the world, but if it's not attached to this visually appealing or like a great marketing campaign, like it's just it doesn't really matter.
Absolutely.
And with Dream World, I feel like you hit so many different creative aspects that it really like made me fall in love with you as an artist and what you
Thank
were
you.
doing because I didn't at that time especially at that time I hadn't got the chance to work with somebody that creative.
Mm,
It was very much like this one lane that they had and
yes.
everyone had like goes through it and it's cool. All props to them, but like being able to work on something where it's like no, she's actually trying to do something a lot different than everybody else,
Yeah.
like I think is the what is essential to being an artist in general, whether you make millions of dollars or whether you make like a couple hundred or a couple $1,000, like that is what being an artist is for me, like
Absolutely.
the just the creativeness of it, of not just the music.
Mhm.
When people think you just you're great, I mean like there are those people that can do it, but I don't think in no way that should justify other people like not being creative on every aspect of their artwork of
Yeah, yeah, of what they're creating. Absolutely. No, I like I said, it is almost like an instant like ripple effect for me. I can't do one without the other,
yeah.
honestly. And honestly what happened was I told myself like, okay, I wanted to even challenge myself more. So this song is almost a challenge where I wanted it to feel I wanted people to feel a vision, when I like when they heard the song.
Mhm.
And I'm not saying my other songs don't make people feel that way, but I feel like this track really like can visually also take you on a journey, which is why it's like also called Speed as well. It just feels like I don't know, very like driven, like it drives you,
Yeah,
makes you
yeah, it
like
had that
feel good
upbeat
with the
tone.
upbeat, think, like visualize. So yeah. I love it. I love it so much, and I'm so passionate about my visuals, as you know, and in that whole concept. I do. I feel um, the most successful presentation into someone's like successful creative expression to me is like, well, in any expression, I feel is to hit like all three, like our senses, like eyes, being able to like feel this, like
Mhm.
just real, you know what I mean? Just really being able to experience in like a full sensory setting. It's kind of like how I
Yeah.
view, yeah, the creative process for me.
Yeah, that's God, that reminds me of God, what you I kind of forgot where I was going with that. But no, that really is amazing. It's amazing to see this evolution of this music as well. I think it's only going to get better. I can't wait to see the video for it.
Oh, guys, Speed, it's coming out. I can't wait. Maya J. Prince.
Is there a timeline yet?
What'd you say?
Is there a timeline yet?
So at this moment, I am finishing up the songs, finalizing everything with
Mhm.
that. And yeah, after that, it's gonna be go time. It's gonna be like a really fun video. I the thing is like we're right now in the talks of like just like the creative board of like how it's gonna go, but I
Yeah,
feel like I have
you
a,
need
you
those.
know me, like I love a good visual. I will show up.
Yeah, no, I'm excited.
I will show up at the table for everyone, I
Yeah.
promise.
Aside from speed, is there anything you want to plug real quick for anybody listening?
Yeah, right now I'm getting ready to work on my own podcast. It's going to be out of True Love Studios. You guys can follow them at True Love Studios, TRUELOVE Studios, on Instagram. Yeah, come and check us out. I have an amazing curating position working with True Love Studios, and we're creating just some amazing in-house events right now. Sweet November, November 23rd. Well, I don't
This may come out in
Yeah, I was
January.
gonna say this is
But
probably next year, so never mind. But but yeah, come and check out True Love Studios. It's an amazing space, beautiful, beautiful space in the city. Just something really creative that and I feel so wholesome. It's women ran. We're doing
that's amazing.
yeah, we're doing small film festivals. That's going to be one of the bases of
Mhm.
what we're doing as well. So highlighting filmmakers. We're always accepting submissions. So you see this, feel free to submit something to us at True Love Studios. Yeah, so I'm excited. I'm
That's
excited about
amazing.
everything that's to come with that.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for coming in. Like I said, I'm so grateful that you continue to supporting me and my journey.
Always.
Queen Nava's out. You could go listen to Queen Nava now. Speed coming soon,
Yes,
hopefully.
Queen
Coming soon.
Nava, Technicolor, Dream World. Please go check out those visuals at Maya J Prince on Instagram, on YouTube.
Yep.
You can find everything there.
Yep. Maya J. Prince, True Love Studios. Amazing. Thank you.
We're out.